Good evening. Our verse for tonight is Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 to 8. And it says, "There's a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, and a time to uproot, a time to kill, and a time to heal, a time to tear down, and a time to build, and a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones, and a time to gather them, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search, and a time to give up, a time to keep, and a time to throw away, a time to tear, and a time to mend, a time to be silent, and a time to speak, a time to love, and a time to hate, a time for war, and a time of peace." And verse 11 says, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." In the late or mid-60s, there was a song popularized by a band called The Byrds. The title of the song was "Turn, Turn, Turn, a Time for Every Season Under Heaven." I didn't realize it then that the lyrics were taken from Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 to 8. To me, it was just a song that juxtaposed opposites, like a time to be born and a time to die, a time to laugh and a time to mourn. They were contrasting activities experienced in the different seasons of life. They were just the realities of living. But as you understand the verse from its biblical context, you begin to appreciate what life is, why certain events happen in our lives, where God is as we journey through different seasons, and what is our proper response to these changes. As the meaning of the passage unfolds, we begin to see the sovereignty of God. He is in control over every season of human activity, and God has a perfect plan, a perfect timing for His purpose during each season. All of us have gone through seasons of joy and sorrow, struggle, of tearing down and mending. Right now, because of this pandemic, we are all going through a difficult season. Some of us may now be experiencing a season of sorrow. Verse 5 tells us that there is a time for embracing and a time to refrain from embracing. And definitely, now is a time to refrain from embracing. Family members and friends cannot even embrace or hug each other because of social distancing and health protocols. Ecclesiastes tells us that all these seasons have their appropriate time in our life. They will each pass and a new season will begin. Some seasons, like where we are now, are difficult, and we may not understand what God is doing. In these times, we submit to God's plan and trust that He is working out His good purposes. Knowing that God has a purpose and a perfect time for everything allows us to accept each day as a gift from God, because God is a reason and a time for all things. When we wake up, we can trust that whatever season we are in is not by accident, nor will God allow it to happen without bringing out a perfect purpose and to draw us closer to Him. Every season is meant to bring us into a deeper relationship with God. With this perspective, we can remind ourselves, as we wake up each morning in whatever season we are in, what Psalms 118 verse 24 says, "This is the day that the Lord has made. We will be glad and rejoice in it." Why? Every day is a beautiful part of God's overall plan. If your present circumstance is a season of struggle, God will give you seasons of joy in their time. God knows the seasons you go through, and He will be with you every step of the way. God loves us and will journey with us each moment, each day, and each season. I remember the journey of a young pastor. He and his wife recently had COVID. It was a season of pain and difficulty, but still they could rejoice each day because they trusted that God was working His good purpose in their lives. He shared this perspective of what they were going through. He said, two things can happen. Either they are healed, and it will be a time of thanksgiving, or they go to heaven, and it will be glorious. To them, what they were going through was a beautiful part of God's overall plan, because God makes everything beautiful in its time. Good night, and God bless us all.